Do you know in Devil Wears Prada how hard it was for Andy to get that second assistant position where she was basically dumped on every single day? Well, I am here to tell you that those jobs are really hard to get. I was a Hollywood assistant and I'm going to talk all about it. And you know what? I'm also going to talk about this rom-com Your Work Life series that we're doing, about how I go back and I talk about all these old jobs that I had and how I got them and all that stuff. And I'm going to be really frank with you. It has brought up a lot of emotions in me in the last couple of weeks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I am processing in real time with all of you. Now let's get the music rolling. Let's do this. We are hydrating because we are in our hydrating era, and we're going to get into it. Welcome to Small Talk with Sheila. I am your host, Sheila, and this is the podcast where we talk about all the small moments in your life that make you the main character of your very own rom-com. I am here to remind you, you don't have to be perfect along the way. You get to love your messy, magical selves because our favorite rom-com characters are messy and magical. And today we are going to talk about persistence and what that means in rom-comming your work life. So let's get into it. You know what to do. Grab a snack for this one because we're going to talk about Hollywood assistant days. As you know, the last month we've been talking a lot about my past work lives, and this girl has had many. We started with my very first job, and that was 2 episodes ago. Go check it out. I talk about how I literally quit my job at 11 p.m. without notice and ended up getting a very substantial raise. We talk about my Radio Disney Sassy Sheila era, and today we're going to talk about my Hollywood assistant days. All right, okay, so we're going to fast forward a little, right? If we're in a little linear timology of these stories. So you know I got a job as a legal assistant. I went to law school. I quit law school. I moved to Arizona. I got a job at Radio Disney. Then I felt sort of guilty for leaving grad school, and I thought it would be a very smart move to go and get my MBA. I have no idea why I did it. I don't know if it was the smartest move, but I did it. Maybe I'm smarter for it. Maybe I'm not. I have no idea. But anyways, I get this really big girl job. I was a marketing manager at an insurance company. And then I basically get laid off. My manager who was laying me off was like, actually, I think this is the best decision for you because I don't think insurance is your thing. And I have to say, I am so thankful that they let me go. But anyways, it was a very tough time in the economy back then, and I couldn't get another job to save my life. And I was in Southern California, and I was like, you know what? I am going to do what I've always wanted to do. I am going to LA, and I am going to make it in the entertainment industry. So I go very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to Hollywood. I think my friend let me stay at her apartment for a few months while I figured things out. And I was like, you know what? I am going to conquer LA. I had no doubts in my mind that people were going to want to work with me. And it was just going to be super easy. Wrong. My friend is working at Paramount and she's trying to get me a job as a temp in their temp department. Nothing. They wouldn't hire me at all. So I go to Paramount. And my friend was trying to get me a job. Nobody would even look at my resume. I mean, I think at one point I was like, I'll be the person that gives tour guides around Paramount. Nothing. No, they said I was not qualified to do that, which I don't know how you need to be qualified to do that job. But anyways, I actually went to a temp agency, you guys. I'll never forget it. I go to a temp agency because I am willing to take anything at this point. Just get me a job in the industry. I go and she asks me if I have experience answering phones. And I'm basically like, yeah, I have my MBA and I was a marketing manager. I can answer phones. She's like, no, we need direct phone experience. I was like, what? But I still had a lot of hope and ambition. And I remember a friend of mine, because I needed some money, got me a job as this salesperson for a bikini swimwear line. Don't ask. Anyways, I go and get this job and basically I'm horrible at it. I didn't sell anything and they fired me. And by fired, they weren't even paying me. It was all commission, but they basically told me that I couldn't even work for free. So I remember the designer at the swimwear line, she really liked me, and she said, I know you really want to get into the entertainment industry. A friend of mine started dating this producer. Do you want me to see if he'd be willing to have like a coffee date with you? Not coffee date, but like a coffee meeting with you. And I was like, yes, anything. I'll take it, anything. And so she talks to her friend, and she had just started dating this guy, but he was like, okay, sure, I'll meet with this girl. So I go and I meet with him, Sean McKittrick. I'll never forget. He is like, honestly, the sweetest guy, but just like I thought he was gonna be like, yeah, entertainment's so awesome, and he was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, I really want to get into the film industry. He was an independent film producer, but like pretty prolific. He produced Donnie Darko. It was his first producing gig, and he had been doing really well ever since. So he met with me with coffee, and it was fun. It was great chatting with him. And he said, hey, we might be shooting a movie in LA in a couple months. We might need a PA, and I'll let you know. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, oh gosh, like I just need experience. I just need someone to believe in me. And he was my only like lifeline at this point. Like it was the only one. Like I wasn't able to get anything. I basically email him every single day. And at one point, I'm like, listen, can I just come into the office and hang out at the office? I just want to see what it's like working in the industry. And I did this for about 2 weeks until finally he emailed me back and he said, I had to fire my assistant. Can you come in? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So I go, their office was in West Hollywood. It was where the original like Charlie Chaplin movies were made and produced. It was like had this very old time Hollywood feel. And anyways, I go there and there are these two producers, like total like Hollywood bros. Like think Ben Affleck, Matt Damon style, right? And I'm just going in just to like help out a little bit. This is not a job, nothing. I'm just gonna go help out. And then I made like these production binders for them, and I got like I'm very organized, so I got like OCD organized on these binders. I go in the next day, and then they call me and they're like, you don't need to come in, like we're not coming into the office. And this keeps happening, and I'm like, dude, like I cannot go and work for free. Like nobody wants me in LA. So one day they're finally in the office, they let me go in. They're like, hey, do you just want a key? And I was like, yes, like give me a key. And so Hollywood, the way it works, it's from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the movies that you see, it's very, very accurate. Like all you're doing is rolling calls. And I remember how nervous I was when people would call because it's not like you just answer the phones. Like I totally get why you need phone experience. You have a couple lists that you literally have to memorize. There's the list of names of people that you are going to put through no matter what. Like you are going to find your producer and you are going to connect this call no matter what happens. It's that important. So there's a list of names of those people. Then there's a list of names of people that you will never put through, no matter what. You are like how insistent they are that they need to talk to your producer. You're like, no, you're not talking to him. And then there's this whole middle, like you get at least 30, 40 calls, like from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Like it's just call after call. So that middle is just like people you have to understand, like, are they important enough to put through or are they not? And you just sort of have to figure it out as you're asking questions. I was like literally going into office from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Oh, and then the weirdest thing is you're listening in on all the calls. You're basically listening, and there's this whole, oh gosh, I really need to do a Hollywood assistant series, but basically all the assistants are on the calls. And so as you're like, if they're like, oh yeah, we should like meet up for coffee or send the script to so-and-so, and like all this stuff that they're talking about, you're behind the scenes like making it happen. Like you're scheduling that coffee, scheduling that meeting, sending that script, like all of that kind of stuff. It's like this whole like underground world. And then I remember some of the assistants would be like, hey, you want to go get drinks? And I was like, why do they want to go get drinks with me? But they don't want to get drinks with you. They want to network with you because there's this like whole network of assistants. It's very Devil Wears Prada, you guys. It very much is. So I was doing this for about 3 weeks for free. I was going in like 8:30 a.m. I was staying till 7:30, 8 p.m. They weren't paying me until finally, I don't know, like something happened where I made myself so indispensable that they finally were like, okay, we're gonna pay you. You're on the books, you're hired, and voila. I was really lucky working at Darko Entertainment. I worked there for I think 4 to 5 years, but I really got to see how films are made from when a script comes in all the way to pre-production, production, taking the movie to the film festivals and selling the movie and watching a distributor distribute your movie. Very much like my Radio Disney days, I did a lot. I wore a lot of hats. I remember I did a lot of like post-production stuff and I had no idea what to do, but I just asked questions and went along with it. So why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing this story because we've been talking a lot about what it means to rom-com your work life. I've been really lucky in the fact that I've gotten to work at some like really amazing but crazy hard to get into industries, and entertainment was really one of them. We talked a lot about, in my first job there was this like believing in myself. I just kind of like believed in my own value. And then we talk about my job at Radio Disney, a lot of me saying yes to things that were pretty foreign to me. But I would say my Hollywood days really taught me what I think is going to make anyone really successful, and that's being persistent. I got that job. One is because I had no ego at that point. I was willing to do anything, but I was willing to be persistent. If I had just emailed Sean once and he didn't get back to me and I didn't email him 2 days later, by the way, we should totally ask him what he thought of me, like if he thought I was nuts or crazy. Anyways, if I wasn't persistent, even when they said I can come into the office and then they were like basically telling me like every day, oh, actually, we don't need you today. Like if I gave up, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So that's one of the things that I want all of you guys to do. If you really want to rom-com your life, you've got to be persistent in what you want. And I think that's what a lot of times people fail at. They know this thing that they want to do. They go out there and they hear a couple no's and it's really hard. People ask them if they have phone experience and they don't, and they just quit. They just are like, oh, this isn't meant for me. But if you want something, if you really, really want something, and you want to rom-com your work life, if you got to be the main character. Main characters are persistent. I mean, think about Andy in The Devil Wears Prada. She does not give up. Regardless of how mean the other assistants are to her, regardless of the fact that she doesn't look the part, regardless of the fact of that crazy boss lady who throws her jacket at her day in and day out, she stays persistent. She knows she's smart enough to be there. She works really hard and she makes her own way. That's really all it takes to be the main character of your work life, you guys. Believing in yourself, saying yes to things, and being persistent in what you want. Now, you're probably wondering, like, okay, thanks, Sheila, for sharing all this. Like, why is this bringing up so much for you? And I think it's because, when I'm looking back at my own work life, at who I was when I was younger, or like my past lives, I realized there was a tenacity that maybe I don't have as much today. And I do in my own ways. And I think to myself, do I really believe in myself the way I did when I was a legal assistant? Am I saying yes to opportunities the way I did when I was Sassy Sheila at Radio Disney? Am I being persistent enough today as I was in my Hollywood assistant era? And I gotta be honest with you, I don't know. I think I've lost a little bit of that along the way. And so doing this series has, honestly brought up a lot of emotions in me because I still want things, I still have these big, audacious, ambitious dreams and goals, and I want to get there. And yet I sometimes just don't believe in myself. I sometimes say no to a lot of things. I sometimes not as persistent as I need to be. I have something I want both of us to do. First of all, I want you to really think about what you want. I have to think about this too as I really look at my entire work life and where am I making things happen and where am I not. I did this thing for a minute and then I stopped, but I'm going to go back to it because I remember how I felt when I was doing this thing. And it's all about knowing your worth. It's all about saying yes. And it's all about being persistent. I want you to create a spreadsheet and it's called Betting on Myself. I want you to have that idea of what you want, whether it's a new job, whether it's to start your own business, whether it's to make small talk with Sheila, this big, amazing, audacious thing that I have in my mind. And I want you to think about how you're going to bet on yourself every single day. Julian, my editor, aren't you excited to see what happens when I start betting on myself every morning? Are you going to hold me accountable? Because I'm going to hold you accountable. So first, you're going to create the spreadsheet. Second, I want you to pick a time of day where you feel like a superhero, okay? We all have that time of day, and it's different for all of us. For me, it is literally 5 a.m. There's something about 5 a.m. when I go and I get my cup of coffee, and I really believe I could solve all the world's problems at 5 a.m. And then as the day wears on, my belief in myself and my ambition starts to fade, but that 5 a.m. is my sweet spot. And so for me, that looks like putting myself out there, betting on myself, whether it's to a sponsor, to an agent, to a podcast network. It's about doing those outreaches and believing that I can honestly do anything. If there's a job that you want, maybe find someone on LinkedIn that's a connection and email that person. See if you can get your resume in the back door instead of the front door. And you guys, back doors are always so much more effective. Maybe it's reaching out to agents and managers. Maybe it's actually betting on myself in a very consistent way. And you do 1 to 3 of these every single day. And I want you to just watch what happens if you do this consistently for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a whole year. And I am 100% committed to doing this myself. I am still that spunky little legal assistant that walks in and asks for a $10 raise. I am still that sassy Sheila who says yes to opportunities and doesn't back down. And I am still that Hollywood assistant that knows about persistence. We are going to do this together. We are going to bet on ourselves because that's what it means to rom-com your work life. You're going to do it and I'm going to do it. And we are going to watch ourselves be the main character of our lives. I think one of the things I want to mention as we talk about being the main character of your own life, rom-coms are a little different than real life. So when we watch, Elle Woods in Legally Blonde or Andy in The Devil Wears Prada, well, we just see everything wrapped up really nicely with a bow at the end. But the truth is, it's not the only time they're going to have to stand up for themselves. They're going to have to be undermined. They're going to go through heartbreak. Rom-comming your life means that you do it over and over and over again, whether it's love, whether it's work, whether it's your wellness. It doesn't matter. But rom-comming your life doesn't end with that one time that something happened. You keep having to be the main character of your own life. You don't just be the main character and then that's it. No, we become the main character. Then sometimes we're kind of supporting characters. And we're like, wait a minute, I am the main character. And that's, I guess, what I am learning too as I am rom-comming my own life, and why all of this brought up so much in me, because I figured gosh, I went through all this stuff. Shouldn't I have my shit together? No, because that's not how life necessarily works. My whole show is about being messy and magical. And so I am giving myself enough grace to be messy and magical. Just because I had all those rom-commy worthy main character moments doesn't mean that it stops for me either. I have to continue reminding myself that I am the main character of my life. And so with that, I am letting you guys know, please tell me how you're betting on yourself. Let's hold each other accountable. You can find me on socials, Small Talk with Sheila. You can email me at sheila@smalltalkwithsheila.com. If you're liking this, if you're liking me being messy, or sharing all my stories, let me know. Leave a review, follow the show, tell your friends about it. It means so much to me. And I can't wait to come back next week because we're still going to be rom-comming our work lives. This does not end. And just in case you're wondering, this rom-com, oh man, it is just getting started. It's about doing those outreaches It's about doing those outreaches. It's about believing that have you guys seen Devil Wears Prada? No, I don't want to start like that. That's dumb.